welcome back. I'm Ray Davidson,
I'm Ruth Craddock.
and Paperback Flicks today is talking Miracle on 34th Street.
Yay!
I forgot the title for a second. That was super special.
It happens.
So I did not know that this was a book, and I knew it was a movie, but I had never seen any version of the movie.
Hmm.
I I remember that you had seen at least one of the movies. Um, did I can't remember. Is this one that you had read or you?
I didn't know it was a book. I've seen both movies.
Okay, so it kind of reminded me of Jaws, the way that it got made, the way the book got made. So it was a
Okay.
screenplay first. What's his name? Valentine Davies.
Okay.
He wrote screenplays. Like that was like he was in the industry, right? And so um, he had written like an outline, not even the full screenplay. He had written like an outline of a screenplay idea, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is pretty cool." And they decided that it would a couple of things. First of all, a lot of people, this was in the 40s, and a lot of people like maybe didn't go to the movie, or like you went to a picture show if it was like once or twice a year, like the big special fun thing that you do, you know.
Hmm.
And so, but they were like, hey, but a book will draw a lot more people in. And when it is a book that they love, then they will go and make an effort to see the film, you know.
Mm.
And so
Okay.
it was kind of it was kind of funny because the whole like premise is like don't let the commercialism of the season ruin the magic.
Hmm. Okay.
And and then they purposely like forced a book through to commercialize it. Like like to
To make
to
it more profitable. Yeah.
right. So I kind of thought that was funny. And then they released the movie and the book at essentially the same time in the
Mm.
summer. For like a special engagement. They were like, it was like June or July, and they like released it in select theaters for just a certain amount of time. And then it was like, oh no, you missed it. Guess what? Merry Christmas. It's back. Like,
Oh. Okay.
so,
Did that work?
apparently so. So I was kind of discussing this with my mom, and I'm like, here's the thing. I read the book it takes like a few hours to read
Hmm.
this book. It's
Yeah. It's
very short.
especially it's essentially a screenplay.
Right, it is essentially because that's basically what they did. They were like, okay, flesh it out enough that it counts as a book. And
Hmm.
then because they already had like the marketing machine back behind them, you know,
Hmm.
they put it out and they kind of I don't know if it's still like this, but for a while the bestsellers lists were kind of pay to play.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
So they pay the right people or the right, whatever. And suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, look, this has sold 1 million copies. Yeah, because the bookstores bought 1 million copies, not
Because they
because
say so. Yeah. Hmm.
right,
Okay.
right. Yeah. And so it was like an instant bestseller, whether or not people were reading it or not. Like, but then
Yeah.
you hear bestseller and you think, ooh, I want to know what this is, right? So kind of a lot of little marketing ploys. And I'm like, that's so funny that they're like, don't let greed and consumerism take over. Also, so I
Just being
found that whole
authentic, but we're also fake. So yeah,
right. I found that whole thing to just be funny. But I was
that's
talking to my
funny.
mom about it, and I was like, to me, this book is not special. If I just read this book cold, I would not be impressed. I would not be like, this was deep and meaningful. And we were kind of talking about it, and I've kind of decided that the people that like really loved this book and the original movie and whatever, either already have like that sense of like magic is in the emotions kind of a feeling, or
Hmm.
they just had like a God-shaped hole in their lives and they were like, Santa fills that. Like,
Santa
you know.
feels that. Okay, yeah.
Anyway, says me, but maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah, if it's gonna be a book, like this makes more sense as like a children's book, which is what I was kind of expecting it to be like a children's book, not a screenplay passed off as a book. Um, Because if it's going to be a book, it should have a lot more atmosphere. It should have a lot more background. There should be more inner dialogue. There should be just more going on. And it
Hmm.
really is just a screenplay. So, I mean, it was just like watching the movie, only it wasn't. And yeah, I don't think it works as a book. Like they could have done so much better if they really wanted to make it into a book. Or they
Yeah.
simplified it down and turned it into a children's book would have been actually smarter, simpler, and cuter. People are like, oh, look at this cute children's book. We're made it a movie. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, like, you know what I mean? They should have like made a children's book, released it in the summer, and then been like, isn't this the cutest book? Well, guess what? We're making it into a movie and it's coming out in like November or something, and you can guys all watch it for Christmas and buy the book. Yeah.
So then when we're talking movies, so I found three versions of the
Oh, I didn't know there was a third one. Okay.
you know what's weird? So there's the original one, I think it was 47 or something. That
Yeah,
there's
with
the original
Natalie Wood
yes.
as the little girl. Yeah.
And then in the 50s, they redid it. I believe they redid it for television, but they
Oh, okay.
used the same script with less attractive actors. And they basically redid the same script. They added a scene or two. They added a little bit of dialogue here and there, and I
Mm-hmm.
think they pulled a scene later on, but it was the same movie. It was really weird.
They didn't really put their own spin on it at all.
No, well, the only
Hmm.
thing that they did that I actually really did not like is that, when the guy is speaking out against telling children about Santa Claus, and like the whole thing is that Kris is like on the stage and he's like, "Hey, that's not okay." And then the guy's like, "Oh, oh, he attacked me." Oh, and he
Yeah.
clearly didn't
Mm-hmm.
attack him, right? No, in this 50s version, he actually smacks him with the cane on stage and then goes, like, aha, I taught him. I was like, well, now he just is the bad guy. Like,
Yeah, he actually did hit him. Yeah, if he was being provoked, that's one thing. But in like
no, he just
the
he
other
it's
story, he just like raised his cane
he
at him, and the other guy pretended he got hit. So
yeah,
it just definitely makes him more of a sympathetic figure than
right.
if he really had going around smacking people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did not like the 50 version, the 50 whatever version at
Hmm.
all.
Yeah.
I didn't like the cinematography. I didn't like any of the actors really.
Was there anybody notable in it at all, or
Not not today. They might have been big deals in
at
their
the
time.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, why else do you remake this movie? Like,
Okay, so it sounds like we don't need to talk about the 1950s version. Sounds like it's not noteworthy.
no.
Okay. So, what were your thoughts about the 1940s?
Right. So the 1940s. So I liked Natalie Wood. I because I had just read the book and I understood that the book was pretty much exactly what the movie was. I kind of went into it with super not into it. So I kind of wanted to hear what your thoughts were because I knew that you had seen it before reading the book as just kind of
Yeah. Okay, so I think I grew up seeing bits and pieces of the older movie, and I didn't really like watch the whole movie until like somewhere in my teen years, either around the same time that the 90s remake came out or before. But I remember liking it, thinking it was fun. Um, it was kind of quirky and all that, but it was definitely watching it again was interesting because there were a lot of things I didn't remember, or it was a lot. I don't know. So like acting wise, I remembered it not being amazing acting wise, but I didn't remember it being this wooden. Like some like older movies, they have like a very like robotic way of talking. Or they're
yeah.
very I'm on screen.
They speak so fast. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or they're like blah, 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 blah.
yeah, I tend to talk fast in my normal life. And then when
Mhm.
I'm on here, I specifically try to like pick like a camera cadence, right? Like I
Yeah.
try to like so that people If they want to put it on time and a half speed or whatever, they can just get through it really quickly. But if you're listening to it, you're not just automatically like bombarded by chick, 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 you know.
Yeah.
But they spoke so fast. And a lot of the old movies do that. And they usually have like their particular way of talking, which to me always sounds East Coast,
Oh,
even
okay.
though it's Hollywood. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're always talking sort of like this. And they always have like this like,
Yeah, that's their impression of what East Coast sounds like or
what?
New
Yeah,
Yorker
yeah,
sounds like. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
like it felt like most of the actors were pretty wooden. The best actor in the 40s version of the movie is Santa, and we'll put his name up there, the actor. And of course, Natalie Wood is adorable in it. I thought she was really cute. But like the mom character, Dory, the actress who played her, was super wooden and very like it's like it was a stage and not
Mhm.
a film.
Yeah,
But then that's how it kind of was back then. They didn't start getting more natural in how they acted and how they filmed like scenes until like much later, like 60s, 70s, they started to get a little more like, oh, this is unnatural. This isn't how people actually are in real life. But
right.
like, so that's one of the things you get when you watch an older, like 40s, 30s movie. It has a very like play-like feel, or it's very robotic or
Yeah.
wooden, or
So
yeah.
I had a drama teacher in high school that said that there's the look here, see acting. Like you like kind of like there's like that time era where it's like, look here, see, I'm acting this part. See, like,
Yeah, like very over the top, overly characteristic, or like, yeah, super stereotypical, or
yeah.
yeah, like,
Or just like, I'm seeing the lines. I'm seeing the lines. Excellent. Cut.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not natural at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Santa, 1940 Santa was natural and felt very believable as a character and was very sweet and cute. And Natalie felt realistic.
Mhm.
But yeah, mom and the lawyer guy were very like, one of the things I noticed that I didn't remember from before is that he apparently they had just met this dude. He was like their neighbor and they never really met him or they just barely met him. And he like straight up was all, oh, I just wanted to get to know your daughter because I wanted to meet you. I was
Yeah,
like,
that
ooh,
like from the book at least I can't remember if the movie was like this too, but in the book it was like, oh yeah, he was the neighbor that like he had the view of the street, the view of the parade. And
yeah,
so
uh-huh.
it seemed like a thing that like, oh, of course he lets because they can see that's the other creepy thing. They can see into each other's living rooms.
Which was weird.
Yeah, like
Like
they
like some kind of like double winged like yeah, we both
yeah.
did the same action at the same time. That's funny. Double winged apartment building or something. Well, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so her apartment looks like over the back as well as into his living room and then
Uh-huh.
or his bedroom. And
Oh.
then his bedroom looks into because when they have the whole thing where they're like, "Oh, well, Kris thinks that we're in the book. He's like, oh well, Kris wanted me to come over here and whatever, have a cozy evening with you. And so they put on a show for Kris. Oh, he can see. He was going to bed. He's probably watching us out the window, and they would sit with like his arm is over Doris, and then he's like, oh, I can still see Kris. He hasn't gone to bed yet. Guess I better stay like this. And like that was like a
Hmm.
thing that he like did for a little while until it was obvious, like the lights were out and whatever it was, to where it's like, okay, clearly Kris has gone to bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry. If my living room looks at your bedroom, there's a problem,
You get curtains and you close them.
right?
Yeah, that's just weird. I do love the whole notion of like in the newer movie they had like this nice bay window that was looking out onto the street, and I was like, I love bay windows. I
Yeah.
got a thing about them. I love them so much, especially with the window seat. It's like
Yes.
I love that. So I love that, and I would definitely make friends with my neighbor if they had that, and it was on the street in New York especially, and it's on the street where the parade was happening. Yeah, I'd make friends.
Oh
I'd be
yeah.
like, hey, we're gonna be friends. I want to use you for your window. But like, I'm not gonna tell you that. But the whole like thing that he's like very like mercenary or very like, a friend, like, oh, I'm just being friends with your kid because I want to get to know the mom. It was
Yeah.
like really creepy, but like acceptable at the
I guess
time to be like, okay,
1940s was weird.
yeah, I guess. But like, so that's the one of the things that's better in the newer movies. They know each other well. They were friends. They were neighbors and have gotten to know each other. There was some kind of relationship between him and Dory before.
Yes. So I know we were talking about the 47, but I don't know.
We always jump back and forth. It's fine.
I love the 94 version. I feel like every difference that they made was an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Kept, like the basic, like they kept the meat and potatoes, but they like added all the savory sauce. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I loved seeing her do her little video thing, and she's like,
Like he
because
wants to kiss you
he
and
loves
marry
you.
you, thinks you're the most beautiful girl in the world. Yeah, I love that. That was adorable. So it showed like they had a fun relationship and he was already kind of like the buddy next door and he
Right,
had an actual relationship with Susan and he
right,
babysat her on a regular basis too. So he's a trusted neighbor, not some random dude trying to get in with the mom.
right.
Creepy. Um, so yeah, I like that there's more of like a relationship there and there's more of a background. I also like their whole screen presence in the newer version. There's
Hmm.
chemistry.
Hmm.
Like, of course, we also have Dylan Dermott as, the Brian character. He's very handsome,
He is.
very attractive, and he's also very charming and very natural. And but like,
Yes.
he also has a little bit of like, yeah, I'm acting, but you don't mind because I'm cute, kind of a
Right.
thing. Like he's doing it on purpose. Like he has sort of I'm putting on a presence feel about it, but it works. It works for a lawyer, somebody who's very aware of how he sounds and how is perceived. He's
Yeah.
gonna want to be perceived a certain way. They're performers in their own way, you
Yeah.
know?
I liked that of the mother too, the Dory character,
Uh-huh.
or the actress.
Elizabeth Perkins.
Thank you. So first of
Yes.
all, I love her voice. I don't know, there's
Yeah,
just
she
certain
has a
voices.
fun voice.
Yeah, there's certain voices that I just think they're like, oh, that's amazing, or else I'm like, I can't stand her. Even if they're beautiful and they're an amazing actor, but their voice gets to me.
Yeah.
So she has a beautiful voice, and she does come across. She's a lovely woman, but you
Hmm.
believe it. Like you believe that she is just a lovely woman that lives here. Like you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like she's like this like plastic supermodel. Like you
Yeah.
believe
She
it.
still feels like a real person. So it's like just a pretty face that happens to have this high-powered job. No, she
Right.
she seems very believable as somebody who worked hard and got that job off her own merit and her own gumption.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and sometimes it felt like she was doing a little bit of like, I'm putting on a show, but she's supposed to
Yeah.
because Dory is constantly putting on a show. And
Yeah.
then you see those moments like in the elevator when she's crying because she knows what she's done and she feels awful and she kind
Mhm.
of has that like without saying anything, you see her being like, "Why? Why did I do that? Why did I just shoot
I
myself in the
didn't have to be that mean about it. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't looking to get married, but I didn't need to call him a fool. I like that was just mean. And like
right.
I love how like he got a little teary-eyed in that scene. And it was like great little bit of acting, like without having like he didn't oversell it. It was just enough.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could tell he's being there's emotions here and he's trying to be patient still while he's really mad at you right now because you're being a total jerk about it.
Hmm.
But like he's keeping it together. He doesn't yell at you. But like in the book version, she threw or like he said something like, "No wonder your husband ran off and left you," which was like
Right.
really mean. And I was like, "Oh gosh, you're both awful." And then she threw a present at him or something. And I'm like, I don't like that. I didn't like that. That's one of the things that's different in the book that neither of the movies do.
Hmm.
And there's a good reason. That was just too awful scene that
Yeah.
way. They're
And
both buttheads.
it felt like that one felt like okay, this might sound a little bit silly. It
Okay.
felt like an idea written by a man to be like, what's the worst kind of woman? The kind of woman that throws your present back in your face or whatever, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the same way that like a
Sounds like a
woman.
bitter man wrote this.
Yeah, well, kind of in the same way that like a woman sometimes will write a man as like super overbearingly like chauvinistic, and you're like, you
Yeah.
realize that most men are not actually like that. Like
Yeah. Like it's
you,
a
you
caricature.
yeah, you have designed a far worse man than I have ever met. Like,
Yeah, most guys aren't that awful.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So yeah, agreed. So I love Elizabeth Perkins in this. She's believable as Dory. She pulls off the attractive, smart businesswoman. She also pulls off really well the like she has a facade she's trying to keep up
right.
because she's trying to protect herself from getting hurt again. And she's trying to
Mhm,
protect her daughter from her
mhm.
getting hurt and having delusions. And like it feels even more so in this version that like you can just feel that this is what happens when a woman and a child get abandoned. That
Right,
this is the emotional, psychological damage that comes of it. That
right.
it leaves a scar. And especially if the baby was, it was like with a baby, like she wasn't even like a little girl, brand new baby, your husband ups and leaves. That is just traumatic. You just
Yeah.
had a child. There's a lot of postpartum involved with that, whether you have it like crazy or not. And, she's already going through a lot emotionally. Her whole life has changed. And now she's doing it alone. And a lot of bitterness is going to happen, is going to come into that. And so, like, I liked how the 90 movie still made it a light movie while still
Mhm.
touching on some very dark things.
Yes.
But like you got to see it in kind of like, yeah, this is awful stuff that has happened to her, but she's trying to like her way of solving it is just rationalize
Right. Yeah.
logic and reason, no fairy tales, no make believe, and like she's seeing it as a good thing, not
Right.
seeing the disservice she's doing to her child.
So there's a conversation that she has in the 90, is it 94
I think a
version that
little bit right there.
in the 90s version that I don't remember being in anything else, and it's so perfect. And it's the part where when Susan comes to her mom and she's like I kind of think, my friends believe in Santa, and mom is like, I just feel it. And the way that this conversation goes in the 94 version is she's like, listen, sweetie, you can choose what you believe. I feel like I have been honest with you. And
Okay.
if I'm wrong, then I will be the first to acknowledge it. Like
Yeah.
if it turns out I'm wrong, then I apologize. I thought I was doing the right thing to tell you like what I understand as the truth.
Hmm.
But baby, you believe what you believe. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's a
you
very sweet scene.
like it that was so touching. And I'm like, that's the way that a good mom is. Like,
Yeah, so she's not a bad mom.
no,
She might maybe a little overbearing, a little overprotective, but
yeah.
her heart's in the right place. She
I feel
does
like I
genuinely
feel like
want what's best for
the
her daughter.
yeah, I feel like the Doris of the 40s is kind of a bad mom. Like,
Yeah,
because she's like, "Oh, because I was hurt this way, I'm now going to force my daughter to live this way." And even as she starts to see that she's hurting her, she's like, "Well, you know, like, but
I'm the mom.
at least the way that I'm hurting her is going to help her in the end." No, you've gone the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, whereas in the 90s version, like the daughter even asks, she's like, "When you were my age, did you believe?" And she's like, "You know what? I did."
I did.
And I feel like letting you have false hope is maybe worse than telling you the truth, even if it hurts right now. And that's when they start that conversation about how, if I'm wrong, then
Yeah.
I'm so
You know,
sorry.
and ask Mr. Kringle for something you wouldn't ask me, and
Yeah,
then that'll be a great way to prove it. Yeah, so I
yeah,
think that whole scene is handled a lot better in the 90s movie. It
it is.
shows there's like a depth of emotion. There shows their connection as mother and daughter is a lot deeper. It shows that this really is a good mom. She's dealing with a difficult situation and she's trying to deal with it while dealing with her own baggage. And she means well. So
Right.
like it's relatable and you can go, you know what? Yeah, she's not a bad person. She's been through a lot and she's just doing the best she can. And I
Yep.
think a lot of people can relate to that as being a single parent going, yeah, it's hard not to sort of unpack some of your baggage onto your kid,
Yeah.
whether you mean to or not. But like at least she realizes, hey, yeah, maybe I'm not doing the right thing here, but I'm leaving it up to my kid to figure it out because she's old enough now to start believing her own things and I'm going to support her finding out what she believes and becoming who she wants to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a great scene. I love that scene. It's very cute. It's very sweet. And I believe that they're mother and daughter in
Right.
that. Like, it sells.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great scene. There was some other interesting things about the 1940s. So they had this whole like, oh, I forgot his name. So there was this janitor character in the 40s one that
Yeah.
also like he
Is it like
also
is Archie or something? I don't remember his
yeah,
name.
something like Arthur or Archie or something of that sort.
Yeah.
Very 40s kind of name. But like he was a janitor at Kohl's, but he also volunteered and did Santa at
It's
like the
it's
local
Macy.
youth center or something.
Is it Kohl's in the older one, or did they just call it
I think it's or
Macy's?
is it Macy's?
Yeah,
I thought it
because
was
there's the
Kohl's in both
Macy's.
movies.
Oh, I don't know. I know there's the Macy's Day Parade that is what this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway,
I'm gonna
sorry.
have to check. I don't remember now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but how he did. Are you talking about the guy that like he is Santa Claus for like the YMCA or something?
Yeah, yeah. And like he's just a nice sort of simple-minded little character, kind of
Mhm.
buddy for uh, Kris to sort of nurture and take under his wing. And you know, he's a cute little side character. But then like the whole thing with Kris getting in trouble for whacking someone over the head happens with a psychiatrist who
Mhm.
is a really weird psychiatrist to begin with. And I do love that whole scene where, you know, Kris is doing the mental acuity test, which is totally would not make any sense now. That just shows you have dexterity. It doesn't show anything about your mental competency. But then, like, he's like questioning him back, and he's like, "Yeah, you have a nervous tick. That might be because of some problem that you're having at home." Like, he's essentially trying to psychology him back, but better.
Mhm.
And the guy's like, "Leave me alone, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, dude, you should not be a psychologist. How are you being paid to do this
He's like,
for a company?
yeah, I was gonna say he's like the company
It's like somebody's weird like
HR.
impression of psychiatrists. Like they think
Yeah,
psychiatrists are whack jobs. And then the
yeah,
person that wrote this was like, they're wacky, so we're gonna make this like a totally messed up dude. Like he's not believable as a character
yeah.
at all.
No.
And I get that they're trying to be funny, kind of, or quirky, but like,
Well, it seems like they're just trying to like get you from point A to point B. How do
mhm.
we call him crazy? Throw a random psychiatrist in. Like,
Yeah,
like
the random psychiatrist causes the problem. They're like, oh, they're worried that he's not mentally competent, so they don't want him to be traveling around. They want him to get into trouble. So then they're trying to get him a place to live and to stay in the city. So, anyways, this leads to like the other guy that she works with, Dory works with, I forget the name of the character, who's
oh
sort of
yeah.
like her partner and
Shell him?
everything. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to find a safe place for Kris to go so they can get him to and from work without worrying about something happening to him because they're worried now that he may actually be kind of loony, but they're like not like thinking he's so loony that they need to fire him or anything. They just want to kind of protect him because at this point he's making them money because of his whole like selfless, you
Right.
know, help the parent campaign. It's helping the store. So then her partner guy is like, I'll get my wife drunk and then she'll agree to let him stay with us. So she'll agree to anything, you know, after I get a few martinis into her. And then you
Hmm.
have that whole scene. Like, meanwhile, like, he's hanging out with Brian and they're babysitting Susan, and him and Brian get like this whole, or no, Brian's actually hanging out with yeah, Susan and
Great.
my brain.
Well, yeah, they're
Tori in the 40s version.
yeah,
And then he talks to Kris and it's like, hey, why don't you just come stay with me? At the
right.
same time that the other guy's trying to drug up his wife essentially. And then, you know, they make the call and the wife's all, hello? Oh, sorry, darling. Hello. Like I remember that scene so distinctly from the first time I saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh, for a long time I couldn't remember what that was from. But I remember that scene and being like just cracking up at this lady and how like, oh, silly of me. And it was like, she's just over the top, very drunk, silly, and I think it'd be absolutely charming. We'll have him here. Like, I just, yeah, I actually love that random weird little moment. It doesn't matter in like the course of the actual movie, and I love that they don't have this whole weird scenario happening in the 90s one.
Yeah.
where it's not about trying to find him a new home or a new place or something. Um,
Well,
but
he
like
he does go to stay with Brian, doesn't he? Like he still
he doesn't in like the 90s when he doesn't come to stay with him. He just comes to like
well, yeah, I thought
babysit. But in the
maybe
40s version, he comes and stays, moves
oh
in
yeah.
with Brian. And
Okay.
like,
I was thinking he stayed with him in the 90s version too, but
no,
I
yeah,
can
he was staying at like the senior home and everything. Then he goes into the mental institution
yeah,
after he supposedly hit the dude.
right.
And so, yeah, the other thing that they changed, so you don't have the crazy psychiatrist, he's not a thing anymore, but they
Hmm.
brought back the Santa that he replaced at the beginning of the movie, being hired by the goons of the
Right.
competing store to humiliate and frame Kris. And I think it's just so much better a setup.
I agree.
The whole attack thing happened, and for him to get, you know, people try to commit him and, oh, he's crazy, attack this guy. That makes so much more sense. And plus, it's
Mhm.
so much more conniving and it shows just like more of a backstory of other things going on. Yes, the boss of the other store is very like, I'm a cartoon villain. I'm
Mhm.
even played by an actor in a way that's like, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Like his whole thing. Like he's not believable, but you
Right.
kind of don't care because he's just the random bad guy in the background petting his cat,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
so is the replaced Santa. Like his laugh, I can't even mimic his like charactery like laugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they are kind of over the top on purpose. They make me think of Home Alone. Like
Yeah.
how it's like, I'm the villain because that
Yeah.
is kind of like we're supposed to see them that way. Like
hmm
there's almost kind of like a knowing glance to the audience, like you see him as the nasty buffoon that he is. The other actors don't see that, like that,
Yeah. Or
you
like
know.
they're letting the good people be the good actors and the bad people be the bad actors.
Right, yeah.
Be like over the top and corny. So even like the goon guy and girl that work for him that
Mhm.
like sort of set this all up, they're kind of cartoony too. They're very
Yeah,
like, oh, yeah, and like they're very fake. But I guess that's part of what they're trying to kind of say about the other company is they're fake and they're commercial
right.
and they're all about profit and making a buck. So even like their employees are kind of like fake people.
Yeah.
So like
I
it
love
works. It's a little like on the nose. Like nowadays, that wouldn't fly in a film, but like in the 90s, you could do that. You could have, obviously this is a
right.
caricature of of somebody instead of a real like fully developed person.
Yeah. Well, and they were trying to speak to a younger audience. Like
Yeah,
they wanted the adults to get, but this was a family movie. It
yeah,
wasn't really a family movie in the 40s and 50s. Like
that's true.
it it was a drama. Like it was meant for the adults in the room.
Yeah,
And because you weren't going to take your kid, that was kind of another thing is that film wasn't really wasted on children.
yeah,
Like it was meant for the adults. And so it was adults speaking to adults. Like, you know, and so
yeah, yeah,
but the 90s version, like this was a family film. It was
yeah,
intended to entertain the 6-year-old and at the same time and kind of be like, you were right all along, Susan, you know, like
yeah.
and at the same time, the adults are looking at it going, "Oh, my childlike wonder. Oh, the true protection of my children's innocence," or whatever. Like
hmm
it was supposed to play both sides. And so
Yeah,
you couldn't have the villain. I mean, the stuff that he says is already so nasty. He calls Chris a pedophile. Like I don't think he actually says the word pedophile, but he is saying these nasty,
you mean the other Santa?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's really
you
gross stuff. So like, who
can
would
ride.
tolerate someone talking that way? And
Yeah,
like
like
even in front of the kids, he's like, "Does she put the twinkle in your eye?" I'm like, that is super like that's sexual harassment. That is super gross
yeah.
in front of the kids.
And the when he accosts him in the street and he's just like this thing that he says about like you like putting the kitties on your lap, what else are
Or
they
he's
good
like, "Oh,
for?"
They're not
Like,
good for anything else. You must like have a thing for the kitties. And it's like, ew,
yeah,
who
like
wouldn't
that.
get mad at that? I'd be like,
That's
how
so
dare you?
right. And it's so gross and it's so heavy. And if this was something that children saw without seeing the kind of vaudevillian side
Yeah,
of
the
it,
fake. Yeah.
then it's almost too heavy for your kids. Like now
Yeah.
you
They might go,
just
wait, what does he mean?
yeah,
No.
you have to
Yeah.
explain that to your kids. But then when he goes, oh, and he falls down and like he's like all knocked out, and then he like looks around and winks
And
and goes
nobody
back.
notices but the guys that hired him.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And
Like
then those two are like, oh, wait, you're cold Santa Claus, even though we totally gave you a ride the other day. Like,
right, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so without that, it suddenly becomes like, why did you just expose my kids to that?
Yeah.
You
So
know what I
they're
mean?
trying to keep it light while still like having some depth in the movie.
Right.
But like, yeah, they're trying to cater to a wider audience by telling this story this way. And it's a
Yeah.
Johnny Hughes like produced film.
Hmm.
So like it has kind of that same, it's dealing with dark things, but in a light-hearted kind of funny way, like Home Alone
Yeah.
or like other movies of that sort.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. It works. What are some other things that they changed
So
between the two versions?
they put God back into it. I
Okay.
feel like Christmas, it is the mass of Christ. Like whether you celebrate Christ or not, or you celebrate the bringing in the greens or whatever that is, or
Mm-hmm.
no matter how commercial or if it's all Santa Claus, it's all charity, right? It's all about the goodwill to men kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they brought that back in little things. They were never preachy about it, but they didn't say like don't forget Jesus, but they just didn't forget Jesus. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
like when they have them go to a church and get married.
Yeah.
They have in the beginning when they're at Thanksgiving dinner and he's like, "Oh, hey, do we say grace in this house?" Like first of all,
Yeah.
he asks permission, which is
It's a
kind.
tradition with me. Do you mind? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, usually only if grandma's here, but they're like, "Yeah, sure, And so they just say a quick grace and they move on. And the rest of the thing is just about Santa and magic. But then in the end, how it's not the postal service. It's not the arm of man, right? It's not like, "Oh, I'm putting all of my faith and trust in the postal service."
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, "Listen, our currency puts the trust of the government, of the nation, of the people in God. So whether you individually believe in God or not, I'm not prepared to say, nope, no God, don't believe in it, take it off our money. And in the same way, I'm not prepared to say, nope, no Santa Claus, because who am I to say? Like,
Exactly. Like
that's not
if
something for a court
people
of law
choose
to
to
say.
believe that and it's not a dangerous thing, it's not hurting anyone, and it's bringing joy, then why is it a problem? Especially if like at this point in the story, they when they're doing the hearing, like the charges have been dropped
Right.
because literally the guy had no injuries, so he really didn't have any place to stand, and the whole circumstance was suspicious to begin with. So
Mhm.
like the hearing was just so the other guys couldn't just throw him into a mental institution.
Right.
But like, anyways, so yeah, I do think in ways the 40s version where they had the whole all the letters to Santa thing
It
was
was,
fun, but
yeah.
like it would me and my kids were talking about this. It would have made more sense because in that movie it was just a random postal service guy. It's like, hey, why don't we send those over there and like free Santa?
Hmm.
Whereas it would have been better in that one if it had been Brian that had the idea and said, hey, let's contact the postal service. Let's get them to bring all the letters here. And
Hmm.
then that would have been good lawyering on his part. But it wasn't. It was just coincidentally, randomly, this happened and it saved their butt.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was. I was like, where does he think they're like? It kind of seemed like the Deus ex machina
Mm-hmm.
thing, for the postal service just be like, sure,
Sure. We don't want
because
to get rid of it. You guys take it.
right, like I agree. Like it was kind of one of those like the lawyer. kind of got himself into a pickle and he didn't have a way out.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And I mean,
and
the new one sort of does that too, but then like he comes up with the idea,
right.
like kind of like, oh wait, I have a way to do this,
Mhm.
you know? But it's his clever thinking. And then of
Right.
course at this point, the hearing's already over. He can't go and make the argument. He can't bring any more witnesses in. So then he has Susan give the card to the judge in a, like with the dollar in it.
Hmm.
And like because she's a little girl, she's allowed to go up there and just hand him the thing. And no one's gonna make a fuss about it and be like, you can't interfere with this court proceeding. It's like, it's a little girl. She's giving a Christmas card. No big deal. But then
Right.
that gives the judge, which I thought was so interestingly enough, they do the whole thing with the judge in both versions, where he's clearly, getting backed by the competitor for his, re-election as the
Hmm.
judge and blah blah blah. And so there's obviously like a, you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of situation
Hmm.
where like it's somewhat shady politics going on here. He's not 100% being, honest and just.
Hmm.
Like in the old version, like he kind of gets rubbed in his face because his grandchildren won't talk to him, and his wife's like, "How dare you?
Right.
Whoever would like commit Santa to loony bin is just a horrible person." Like, and that's kind of a cute, funny little scene, but like, I like it better in the new one how like he then comes with kind of a dilemma. Like, he didn't have any problem receiving the money from the guy before; he was just supporting him, but now he suddenly feels like he's been put in a situation where he has to commit this guy, and if the guy's really crazy, that's one thing. But if the guy's not crazy, and now it's been made a big old circus, and everybody's watching him, and he
Yeah.
now has to like condemns like this person who everybody believes represents this benevolent figurehead and he's feeling kind of stuck. Like I loved how they played that out in the
Hmm.
90s version because you felt the turmoil of this guy. So he's like, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to be in this situation. But I'm in a bad situation. Like I didn't see this happening, but now I'm like, how do I get out of this
Yeah.
without looking like a crazy person myself
Yeah.
and jeopardizing the justice system and everything else going on. So that's why I really liked him being like just so grateful, like, oh, thank goodness. You
Yeah.
gave me a legitimate thing. And it had to be the judge to say it. Like, hey, you know, the US government acknowledges that there may or may not be a God and that we have the right to may or may not believe in it or practice it. But that because most of the people of our country believe in a God and that's what our principles of our nation were found
Hmm.
on God, you know, if they say, hey, we acknowledge that God might exist, then we can acknowledge that Santa Claus might exist. Then it might be this guy.
Well,
And that's
and
enough.
I like that the judge ultimately says whether or not there's a God is not for the court to decide. Whether or not there's a Santa isn't for the court to decide either. And who is Santa? He's Saint Nicholas. He's Kris Kringle. This man is Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
So,
Like, that's
we
it.
can say that it's him if we like.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
And so I like that in that it respects the whole people have the right to believe what they want to believe and
Right.
that um, we don't get to tell everybody that there isn't a God or there is a God or
Yeah.
that there are mythical beings or not, that it respects everyone's beliefs and their rights, you
Hmm.
know? But at the
Yeah.
same time, like watching this now, I was kind of like, well, it made me think about, yeah, maybe I won't bring it up. Never mind. I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna bring weird modern day stuff into it. Not gonna do it. I changed my mind. Okay. So I think we can agree that the 91 is better. So that's the other thing that they improve in the 90s one. In the older one, she asked for the house. They just happened to be driving by the house because Chris sent them over there.
Hmm.
First off, the mom and Brian don't get married. They
Yeah.
just, kind of make up. And then they just happen to drive by the house and she makes them stop and Zulan just runs into the house and it's like, it's my house, you got it for me. But there's no
Hmm.
reason for her to think this. And then there's the whole ending doesn't quite make sense because nothing happened really. But then in the new one, like they did get married and Santa did kind of set it up where he just
Hmm.
made it look super romantic that they think the other one arranged this and they happened to be there that moment. And now that they've kind of made up and then they're like, oh, yeah, hey, I do want to marry you.
Hmm.
Why don't we just do this? And it becomes this romantic spur of the moment thing. They get married. And it's super cute. I actually really love that scene. They're like, no, it was you. No, it was you. And the priest is all, are you ready to get married? And he's got the ring. And they're like, anyways, yeah. I do love
Yeah.
that they don't show the whole wedding. They show just enough
Yeah.
for us to get what happened. And then, so yeah, they get married, actually.
Well,
So he got the dad, and then they actually are called and told to go to the house for
mhm,
a
yeah.
photo shoot just to find out that Kris called them know that they're looking to buy this house and like started the process of them getting the house because the partner guy hands her the key and Brian's like, our name's on the post on the mailbox. And then the guy's, did you get married? I'm like, yeah, last night. Like, how does only person would know that is Kris because
Hmm.
Kris set it up. And then like well, you can afford the house now because you got the raise because of all the stuff's happening. And they
Right.
even talked about it earlier in the movie that remember that house, in the catalog that you really liked, you wanted to buy. So it wasn't
That's
just Susan that liked it. It
right.
was also the mom. And so Susan was into the house because the mom liked it and
Right.
she'd seen it. So it all kind of ties in.
That's what I liked. That was one thing that I forgot to mention, but I wanted to, was that nothing just came out of the air. Like
Yeah.
everything, like they had talked several times about how this felt like it was just a either a political or there's money behind it with Chris's trial.
Uh-huh.
And so then when he's like, it's all that was the one line that I actually hated. The one part that I felt like was kind of poorly written was when he's like, "It's all about this, isn't it, Judge?" And he holds his like money clip, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was the one part that was dumb. And I understood it was so that he looks at the money and he sees the
Yeah.
God
The
we trust.
delivery of it wasn't great either. It was just kind of a corny moment.
Right, yeah. I didn't like that part, but I understood why it had to be there. I felt like it could have been better, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It got you where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they had already discussed that had already been introduced, not just the behind the scenes, the guy with the but like it had already been expressed. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was the news articles or if it was Brian talking, but it had already been brought up that this kind of seems like a political slash money issue. They brought up the house in the beginning, like you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about, like before it mattered to anyone, before the audience really knew what they were talking about, and it just kind of is put out there, hey, you want to get that house? This is the way we get the house, maybe.
Yeah, we might get a bonus. Maybe you'll get it. Yeah.
You know what's for
And
sale. And then they put it away and then they don't even bring it up until you see she hands Kris the ad and she's like,
Mhm.
this is the Kohl's ad, but I want the house and the family. And I love that at the end too, where she's like, he got me a dad and he got me this house, which is the exact house I wanted. And Brian is the guy that we already love, and everything is perfect. And there's only one other thing, but I guess I'll have to wait for that. And then
Uh-huh.
when mom was like, what was the other thing you asked for? A baby brother. And they both go, they look at her belly.
Yeah. It's kind of cartoony at the same time. It's adorable and it's
It's so
funny.
cute.
And
Yeah. It fits in that world. It fits in the world
it
that they created.
it fits. And so I love how it all kind of comes together and they're like, okay, so it works. For the other one, they did end it. They ended it with like them seeing the cane that looks like it's Chris Kane was there, but doesn't
Right.
make any sense because nothing happened. He didn't
Right.
do anything. It's not their house. She just
Right.
ran into a house.
And it was supposed to be the calling card, right? The thing that says, "See, it really was Kris." But they don't need that because they had it in the fact that they were called out and the guy, like you said, the guy was like, "Yeah, Kris told me, you
He
know."
needed a house. And Kris was the one who had the ring. And clearly he set it up because he's the only other
Right.
person like who had the only person that had the ring, only person that knew that they got married.
Right.
So
So
it was like,
you didn't need to close out the story on the wink, and the see the cane. Like
yeah,
it's a clever idea. I don't hate that. I do like the stories where like the final scene is like the thing like, did you get it?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Are you paying attention? Yeah.
I do like that. However, it wasn't necessary and it kind
And
of
it
would have
wasn't that clever.
yeah, it kind of would have been weird to be like, oh, also he clearly and obviously got us this house and left his cane.
Cane? Why would he leave his cane? Anyways, I one of the other things they did is that when they did win the case in the 90s version, before they're leaving, the opposing defenders like a lawyer's like, oh, Merry Christmas. And my kids wanted me to tell you, remember to stop by, and
Yeah.
this is my address. And Chris is like, oh, I know it well. And he's like, oh, by the way, did you get rid of that old TV antenna? I ripped my pants on it last year. And the guy kind of looks at him like, I did get a new antenna. How does he know that? Then he's like, nah, no. And like, so they kind of give you these little moments where like he says things that make you go, is he actually Santa?
Yeah.
And then other times he says things that sound totally crazy. He's
Yeah.
like, well, I remember before the population boom 100 years ago. And then he talks about golfing with the Easter Bunny. And he's like, he winters in New Zealand. And
Yeah.
like, he says little things that are like, oh, that sounds crazy. But then he says other things that are like, how does he know these things?
Yeah.
Like, wait a
Yeah.
second.
Well, and I liked that because I I feel like deep within us we all have the capacity for good. And I understand that that means we all have the capacity for evil and whatever. But
Yeah.
like you were mentioning that the judge like genuinely didn't want to be in this position, not just because he didn't want to politically be in the position or whatever, but he as a person morally, like he did not want to lock up this perfectly kind old man who has done nothing in any way infracting on anyone just because he's like, dudes, I'm Santa. Like, and
Yeah.
he
He
wasn't
could have
even
just been a really good character actor.
right.
What if his
Well,
name really does have to be Kris Kringle? And he's like, you know what? Let's embrace this.
and the thing is who did it hurt? Who did it hurt for him to think he was Santa? Because that's the thing. Like there are times when people are like, because I believe this way, you must also believe this way. You are not a good person if you don't agree with me.
Yeah. And that's
Never
going too
once,
far.
right, and never once did Chris do that, especially in the 94 version. He
Hmm.
never once is like, you must believe in me. In fact, the only time that he is like pushing for someone to believe in him at all is when he's like talking to Dory and he's like, you're kind of my test case. If I can convince you, not force you, if I can convince you to change your own mind, to open your mind, to consider me to be who I say I am, who I think I am,
Yeah.
then I will know that it's not all is lost. It's not all for nothing. You
Yeah.
know, you will reinforce my faith in humankind in this by reinforcing your own faith in me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that it's okay to believe in something
Yeah,
more than yourself. And like even his explanation of why it's bad to to not believe in a Santa, he's just saying it's not just about believing in Santa, it's about the human's capacity to put away the selfish tendencies and to believe in something more. And
and
that's
because
what we're encouraging. That's
yeah,
what he wants to bring into our life. He's like, when you can't believe in something more than yourself, then you're dominated by a life full of doubt.
right,
And you see that moment in the movie where she's kind of like, "Whoa, that's a scary thought.
yeah,
Is that what I've been doing all this time?" And that's when
yeah.
she starts having kind
Is
of the change of heart and going, "Oh." But at the
and
same
then
time, he's like, "But hey, I'm not here to tell you what to think. But
right,
if I can convince you, then yeah." But he's still leaving it to her. He's not trying to tell her what to think, but he's trying to explain to her why this is a good thing,
right,
why it's bad to just put away all faith in things. That
right.
like it's actually good to have a little faith, you know.
Yeah.
So I
And
really like that.
there's another moment that Brian has at the court when he's giving his final closing
Hmm.
remarks. Um, and I don't remember exactly what he says, but he says something about like, what is the harm in letting the children believe in that better world that we've been trying to give them, like, or a better world than the
And what
one
we've given them,
that we've given them,
yeah,
you know? And Dory has another moment where she's like, that's right. I want to make my daughter's world as good as possible.
better than
Does it,
mine,
does
yeah.
it really hurt her? Again, does it harm her to believe that Santa could be real? Because if it does harm her, then you need to consider that. But does this harm
Does
her?
it do more good?
Yeah.
Does it,
And
yeah.
so,
So one of the lines that Brian does say, he's like, "Oh, you have to ask yourself, what's worse, a truth, uh, a lie that brings a smile, or a truth that brings a tear?
yeah,
Like what is better? You know,
yeah. And
and
also, the other thing that I just love that kind of goes along with this is that when you were talking about the prosecutor at the end when he cut like there's his moment of grace. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
There's this moment when he chose to be that good person. He was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna shake your hand. I was kind of awful to you.
I lost the case. I'm not going to be a sore loser.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for not being a jerk, because they could. They could be like, boom,
Yeah.
and they weren't. And Kris wasn't like, that's it,
How dare you?
you're out,
Yeah.
naughty list for you. Like, he's like, I know,
Well, don't
don't
worry.
worry.
I don't hold any grudges. I'm not going to not come because you were the prosecutor in this
Yeah.
case.
And he says, Merry Christmas, and he is still a good person in there, even if he got caught up in.
All this political stuff and, working for the competitor and stuff, like,
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not really a bad person.
right.
And that's nice. And I love when they had his wife come on the witness stand and be like, "Oh, it was my husband that told him that there was a Santa Claus. Oh, and cool Santa Claus." And it was like everyone's laughing, like, yeah, you're not going to make a very good argument here, sir, if you're even saying that yourself." And anyway, and I love how it like Kris when they're like, "Have you ever seen any workshops or anything where somebody can make all these toys and blah blah blah?" And Kris is like, "Of course he couldn't see them. They're invisible. I thought everybody knew that. They don't exist in the real world. They exist in the dream world." And he's like, "I thought everyone understood this." Like, and again, like it says scenes that are like, okay, but like it's cute and it's funny, and of course everybody laughs in the courtroom. But anyways, there's a lot of
Yep.
cute things. I thought, I forgot his name. Uh, Edinburgh, the guy that plays Santa. He's
Mhm.
also the guy that created Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Jurassic Park. I thought he was very cute as Santa. He did a really good job of bringing the wonder and being fun, but you can also see the moments where he's like, "How dare you?" You can see the anger. You can see his, like, he was very believable as this character and very likable.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Santa does have a naughty list. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like he's this eternally benevolent, like,
That there is right and wrong, there is good and evil, that
right.
there
Like,
should be consequences. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I appreciated everybody's acting this. And of course, we got to talk about Mara Wilson. I finally remembered her name before one of these things because
You
she
didn't
was
even
like
call
the
her.
it little actress, little girl at the time, and she's just so adorable. And she's just so cute in this. And she was cute in everything that she was in. She was perfect, fun, lovable, and she really pulls off the whole I'm a little like sophisticated adult in a child's body.
I love the face that she makes. Like, when she made it several times in this movie, but when she's just like, I
You're
know what,
perfectly wrong, mother. I'm so sorry. You have it completely wrong. And
yeah.
like this cute little like satisfied
She does this, like, impy,
like
like,
little
impy.
face. And it's like adorable. And like you can see why like Brian would have been like, "Oh, this mom and their kid are so cute." And at the same time, it's kind of sad. I want to save them
Yeah.
from their weirdness, but they're also adorable and they're sweet, you
And
know?
ready for my headcanon? Because apparently your husband actually informed me of this, that pretty much I headcanon everything.
Oh, okay. All right. So what's
Got
your
my-
headcanon? Wouldn't be an
So
episode without you doing that.
I know, right? So it appears to me that the way that they were playing the 94 Brian, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, is that he seems to have kind of become enamored with the girl, like he learned to love this girl so much so that he fell in love with the mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
if that makes sense to you. Like it seems pretty genuine. It seems like he's like, how could I not love her? I love her as if she was my own kid. And that has endeared the mother to me.
Then you're like,
So,
oh, who is this woman that created this child? And
right,
like, how did this happen? And then like he's trying to solve the mystery too, and then he just kind of
right.
falls in love with them
Yeah,
because
and
of
he
yeah.
can see past her tough exterior. He can see past all of the defensiveness and the, and that's why he kind of just he's like, "Yep, yep, I got it. I hear you. Also, I see who you are because look what you made." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Look what
you're
you read.
actually a really wonderful person and you just need to get out of your own way. And hey, guess what? I love you,
Yeah, right.
despite
Yeah.
yourself.
And like to me, that's what I hear him saying when he's like when she has the moment where she's like, "What? No, whatever gave you,
What gave
the
you the reason to think? Yeah.
yeah." And he's like, because he says that first. He says, "I've loved your daughter like she was my own. I've put so much love and effort into you without getting anything back, you know, but they were worth it. This family that he learned to love was worth it." And I find that so much like that's the guy you marry, not the guy
Yeah.
that thought you were hot and so he like put up with the kid to get to
It's like,
you.
oh, the mom was that. No, yeah, no. This version of Brian is so much more likable and lovable because he has so much depth and he's like the really like kind of a genuine, rare guy that's like he's a successful single dude in New York. He doesn't need to saddle himself with a wife and a kid. But like he fell in love with these people. He realized his neighbors were wonderful people that kind of just needed, they were diamonds in the rough themselves. Like they're just all alone. And he's like, hey, like instead of coming in like the knight in shining armor and like, here, I'm going to save you. He came in as became their friends, became a part of their lives, became the neighbor that helps out, that helped them do stuff. He didn't come in all dominated and be like, oh, you did it wrong. Like he just fixed the turkey that she didn't quite do right. And he just did it for her. He didn't like say, hey, you're a horrible cook. No. Like, and he didn't be like, oh, don't listen to your mother. It's like, oh no, she hasn't finished the parade yet. Let her finish. I'll go put the stuff away. And then, of course, the mom's like, and when it's done, you come home because I'm the mom.
Right.
Like, he's not trying to overstep his bounds too much here. And yes, he takes her to see Santa, but he's like, we're just coming to see you anyways. And like, I didn't see any harm in her coming and talking to him. But he's still not trying to force and say, hey, your mom's wrong. There's
Right.
Santa. This is Santa. Like he's really respectful in how he tries to introduce everything and how he tries to become part of this family. And he clearly respects them that he's not trying to insult their intelligence or trying to tell them what to think or trying to manhandle them at all. Like
Right.
he respecting them and just kind of becoming a part of this. And like even like with the prayer too, he's like, do you mind if I say the prayer? Like again, this is who he is. He is obviously has an element of religious background or
Mhm.
faith. And like he's not trying to force it. He asks very politely. And then, they're like, oh, okay. And because he's not a stranger to them, they're like, yeah, okay, sure, it's fine. We'll say a prayer for you. Like, we'll say a
Mhm.
prayer with you. And so it's not like this aggressive takeover. He's like, I'm going to take this woman and this child and make them like me. And like, no, he's just like the most genuine and nicest guy. And he's
Right.
just so sweet. And it's like, who is this man? Like, this woman have any idea how lucky she is? This guy decided that you were worth it. Like, holy
Right.
crap. Again,
Right.
this is a very attractive man, too, and successful. He doesn't need to pick a woman with a kid who has serious baggage.
Right.
No, he picked you because he saw your heart. He
Yeah.
saw something in you, and he's like done the slow game. He's done the long thing. He's been working toward this. So that's part of like when he proposes, and she's kind of like, "Have I done anything?" He's like, "Seriously? Has it not been obvious this whole time that
Right.
this is what I wanted and this is what I was working towards? So that I was trying to become that person in your life
Right.
that
Why did you think we were here? Yeah.
like obviously." he's been working towards this whole time. Obviously, they have a semi-romantic relationship anyways, but she's trying to keep it distant.
Well,
She's
they've
trying to
been
pretend like they're not dating, though clearly they have been this whole
right.
time.
Even in that scene, they're holding hands as they're walking around, they're
And they
kissing.
kissed, and
Like, I understand that maybe not every guy you kiss is the guy you marry. I
yeah,
understand that. I have a very deep and personal understanding of this.
yeah,
However, there's like when she's like, if I ever gave you anything, have you ever like had any? Yes, yes. In the way that you include him in your family, in the way that you walk around in public kissing him and what like,
yeah,
yes, you have given him more than a few signs. Sorry,
yeah.
sucker.
And clearly he showed his intentions towards you. So like this really shouldn't be out of left field.
Right.
And like yeah, she's trying to act like he's been in the friend zone this whole time. That is not what's going on.
Yeah.
It has not been going on. And he's not like springing this on you. It's like I get the impression in this version, he's been working on this for years. That he's literally been a part of our lives a long time.
Right.
That he's not just some guy that just showed up. And I love that. That makes it feel so much more deserved. And it makes you like Dory more too. That
Mhm.
like even when she does make bad choice and that does say mean things to him, you have that moment in the elevator where it's like, okay, that was totally wrong. I went about that all wrong. Yeah, I may not have been ready for a proposal, but what did I just do? Why
Yeah.
was I so mean? And even like they had a moment like outside the courtroom where she's like, "Thank you for so much for helping Kris." And even she called him and asked, "Hey, can you help Kris?" And I love that she's the one that called him and said, "Hey." And so that also shows to Brian that hey, she's kind of having a little bit of a change of heart. She realizes that Kris is not a bad person, and she wants to put faith in him, and that
Mhm.
kind of goes endures him a little more to her. But
Mhm.
he's like, yes, of course I'm going to help Kris. But like they have that whole moment outside the court where she's like, I'm sorry about the other night, and he's like, yeah, it's okay, no lasting damage. But
Yeah.
clearly it's kind of awkward now, and she's like, crap, I really messed up
Yeah.
because this is a great guy. And I don't know if he's going to trust me again to be intimate with me again. Like I might have messed something up big time, but it works out.
Yeah.
But anyways, I do think there was a lot of subtle things they did. It
Mhm.
wasn't like Shakespeare or anything, and it wasn't like pantomimes, but it's a good mix of like extremes. It's not over the top and it's not like trying to be too sophisticated. It
Right.
like it is what it is, and I think it does a very good job at being what it is.
I also like that they so I feel like there's always kind of a if you're going to have a religious person and you're going to have magic, then like I think of the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie, or not Where to Find Them. What is that called? The Fantastic Beasts movie. How the only like religious person in any of the franchise that I have ever seen is the uber religious conservative lady in America who like refuses to let anything magical happen. And so when she has this like magic kid, she's like, "No, you will be strictly whatever." I don't know if you know what I'm talking
Okay.
about, but that
Yeah, yeah, I know some of it.
yeah, or Carrie, right? The Carrie has this like this special ability, and her mother is like, "No, we need to get the evil out of you because she's the religious nut job," right? Like it's always like this
They're
like,
religious, it means they're crazy.
yeah, if you believe in God, then magic is evil or whatever. And this is exactly the right the right attitude, I feel like.
Right mix.
Right, because I'm religious and I tend to be more conservative than a lot of the people around me. And guess what? I love magic. And I
Yeah,
hope that some of it's real. Like we've talked about it before, but like the magic of the emotion, like magic is within you kind of a
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And the religious guy, really the only religious person in this entire movie, is also the one that just believes in Kris. Just, if there's a Santa, you're it.
Yeah.
I'm it.
And he doesn't question it. He doesn't say, that guy's a nut job. No, he's like, okay. He just accepts that
Yeah.
that's who Chris is.
Yeah.
And that
And
he
I'm
accepts that that's what he believes and he respects it. And
right.
yeah, you're right. There are way too many movies where they portray religious people as extremists and crazy.
Right.
And I do not appreciate that. I do like that this film doesn't try to preach to you and tell you, hey, God exists and Santas exist, or you got to believe in spiritual things. But it also doesn't say, hey, magic doesn't exist and
Right.
magic is evil. Like it respects all sides. And it's like, we're not telling you there's a God. We're not telling you there's Santa. We're respecting the fact that you have the right to believe what you want to believe. And
Right. You
yeah,
you have you have the right to believe in God, you have the right to believe in Santa, and you have the right not to. Because that's the thing is that ultimately they don't prove that Santa is real.
uh huh.
And even like all of the things that Kris uses like could all happen. That was true in the book as well when it was like, oh, the X-ray machine, and he was going to get the X-ray machine for the doctor at the senior center.
Mm hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to put this money into an X-ray machine." And they're like, "Oh, well, that's not enough. So tell you what, I'll pitch in. Well, I'll get it to you for cost." Like
Yeah.
and the way he gets the house and the way he gets, and it's all things that could be done without magic, but
Yeah.
the magic is within him. You
It's
know?
within his willingness to believe he can do it and to go above and beyond to make it happen.
Right.
That
Yeah.
he's a resourceful guy and he's like, you know what? I'm committed to this. I'm going to help these people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that. It shows that we can be the magic ourselves. We can be Santa Claus. We
Yeah.
can be the one that makes a difference in another person's life.
Yeah.
Like each person can make a difference. And,
Yeah.
we do matter. So, anyways,
Ultimately, the miracle is not the fact that Santa Claus is real. The miracle was the saving family, saving that family.
yeah.
It,
And like helping that family find their way, becoming a family.
right, correct. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So
It
it's
makes
a cute story. I like all the dynamics of it, and I do think the '94 version is really great. I hope they never remake it because I think they did a really good job. Yeah, there's some corny things about it, but they're there for a reason.
Yep.
That they work, and
And
I
you're
love
right.
Mara Wilson. I don't want to see Natalie was great as the original. Mara Wilson's great as the remake. I don't
Yep.
want to see another version of this again.
Nope.
I
That's
don't like when they remake everything. This is one time where I feel like the remake really is an improvement over the first,
Mhm.
and is also an improvement over the book,
Yeah.
and it fixed all the problems that were within the story and made them better. And
Yep.
so I love it. I think it's a great movie. I watch it every year, and it's just fun. So yeah, so that's all for Miracle on 34th Street.
Mhm.
So I have no idea what we should do next time. So
Do
do you have any suggestions? Because I literally forgot to think of anything.
do you want something long? Do you want something serious? Do you want
I
something?
don't know. Just throw out suggestions and I'll tell you if I like any of those ideas. Right now, I can.
Yeah. So I mentioned Sophie's Choice earlier. I struggle with that book, but we
What
can do
book?
Sophie's Choice. Um,
Selfish what?
Sophie's Choice.
Sophie's Choice. Sorry, I thought you said selfish noise or something.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Yeah, no. What was one? I was thinking about doing when the crawdads sing. So that movie came out right before we did our first podcast.
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh, we're talking about doing podcasts that are books with film adaptations. We should do this one. And I hadn't even seen the movie yet. Like
yeah, yeah.
I just knew it was based on a book. Um, so that's one that's always been in the back of my head, but I just never choose it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, Those are both kind of serious though.
I think I know. I have an idea of what I might want to do.
Okay.
So there's two options. I'm thinking either The Little Princess or The Little Prince. They're completely different stories, different
Mhm.
things, but they both happen to have similar names, but they're both based off of a book.
Yep.
And
So
one's more of a children's book, and the other one's more of a book. But
yeah. So The Little Princess, I have seen at least one version of, maybe a couple, because I think
I
didn't
think
Shirley.
there's several. Yeah.
Yeah. And then The Little Prince I had never heard of until recently. Someone talked about it at church, actually.
Yeah, so I never heard of the book until the Netflix movie version came out. And like, it's sort of like somebody hearing about the Little Prince. I don't know if in the book itself it's exactly the same way where the neighbor girl is being taught, like, told the stories by the neighbor about the
Oh,
Little Prince, or if it's just the Little Prince story. So that's something I don't know. So, but then I found out a bunch of people are like, oh, that's my favorite book. I'm like, I had never heard of it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I only heard about it recently, and so it's funny that you bring that up because it came out of nowhere, and then I've never heard of it again until just now.
yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to do the
That'd
Little
be fun.
Princess, or you
I
want
mean,
to do Little Prince?
I say I say if you're good for Prince, we should do that one just because it's something that I don't know.
The Little Prince. Okay. All right. So we'll do the Little Prince, um, written by this person up here, and we will watch. I think there's just the one version of it. The Netflix animated version is the only one. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. But we'll watch that movie and we'll discuss the differences and what works and what doesn't
Yeah.
next time. So yeah, for Paperback Flicks, I'm Ruth Craddock,
I'm Ray Davidson.
and we will see you guys next time. Bye.